welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, still, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
He's giving me the finger on the video.
And being very cheerful on the voice.
Of course you're with me. I wouldn't do this show without you.
It's only happened once before that you've done it without me. I've done it without you a whole heap of times.
Yeah, because I'm a slacker. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into a thing because I'm feeling a bit pitchy. I'm feeling a bit pitchy. That's my new segment.
It's when Ben decides that he's not going to have perfect pitch and he decides to give us a perfect pitch instead.
But that was... Oh, that's a good name for the segment, the perfect pitch. It's a perfect pitch. Oh my God. It's going to be one of those notes. I have a pitch for a game just off the dome. So I know you've been watching a lot of Among Us, and the world has been playing it wildly, crazily. 500,000 or more people watching fucking AOC playing the other day. While the McElroys unfortunately did it at the same time and got much less viewers. But it was actually on the McElroy stream that I came across a game type that has been gaining popularity with Among Us, which is where they play hide and seek. Are you aware of this game type?
No, I didn't. I did not know of this game type. Tell me more.
So what they essentially do is there's no reporting of bodies. The imposters have their vision cone set down essentially to the minimum. Everyone else has theirs set up to the maximum, and the imposters just have to try to kill everyone, and everyone else has to try to get their tasks done.
They still have to get their tasks done. That's great.
They still have to get their that's how they win. So what's interesting about this, of course, is you can very easily hide from the imposters, from the seekers, because they have this very limited circle of vision around them where they can see other characters.
The problem is you still don't know who the other ones are.
You announce up front who the imposters are, so you know who you're running from.
It'd be more fun if you didn't.
Well, then they could very easily. Anyway, I also then saw a video where they've obviously assumed they've got a modded copy or something. They were doing 100-player hide and seek.
Wow.
With 5 seekers and 95 hiders. So I thought, hey, there's a whole lot of potential here for turning this game mode into a full-fledged game and seeing where we could take that general idea of, I think, keep the top-down 2D view, because obviously the sort of division cone plays into it and works a lot better. In that
you don't want a 3D
space.
where you can only see.
Exactly.
It's almost as if you got someone's hands over your eyes and you're just walking around bumping into shit.
You just set that culling plane real close and keeping that top-down 2D view, but obviously from the get-go, the idea is there's a killer or multiple killers and with very limited vision, and everyone else has something to... It may not be doing tasks like in Among Us. Obviously, that they do that just because that's the base game. It could be anything. So I just thought that was an interesting idea. I feel like there's actually a real opportunity there if someone came out with a nicely made hide-and-seek game in that style right now, because, off the back of the popularity of that mode, then that could do really well.
And they call it Hide Among Us.
Hide Among Us. Well, do you want to give me some thoughts before I go into some of the ideas I had around this? How you can improve it?
First thing I want to sort of say is, if you got 95 people and five seekers, as it were, I'd want it a little bit bigger map.
Yeah, I don't think you'd go that big. I was thinking you'd go a bit more, I think, than the standard Among Us of 10 or 12 is the max. To maybe like 24 or something, 32. Like you could go
same
bigger.
size map, you reckon?
Maybe similar, maybe a bit bigger. You obviously want it to. You wouldn't want the seeker to get frustrated and just not be able to find anyone. They'd need to know the map reasonably well. Well, you could do. You can have
like a mini map you know,
Yeah, or
that's
even
nice and
like
easy to see. Or even show the map, but just sort of
yes. So in
continually
Among Us, you
show
can
the
still
map.
see the map. In Among Us, you can still see the map. You just can't. It's like more grayed out outside of your vision cone, and you obviously can't see sort of active items like players and things.
Yeah.
So a few things I thought were interesting around this. For one, I feel like you do it as like a serial killer kind of thing, like a horror, like a slasher flick, maybe, where you've got some reason that the serial killer or killers have this limited vision, but you could have some really cool tense moments where, you know, you're right outside the vision cone and they just walk past you kind of thing. And that sort of, just knowing, I think the other players would have to have at least a vague idea of the vision that the Seekers have.
I kind of like the idea of seeing almost a visual of the vision cone. But
yeah,
if your character makes sound, I like the idea of things opening up a little bit. Like,
so sound was definitely where I was going to go to bring some depth to this. One of the things I thought could be quite interesting is that if the killer stands still, then they can hear better to the point that if there's someone nearby,
they can hear the
might
footsteps
be able to hear them breathing. Well, if they move, then they can hear the footsteps. But I mean, to the point of breathing. So if you're like hiding in a corner in a room and the killer comes in, you're like, oh, it's already, they can't see me. But then they stop. You're like, oh, fuck. And then the hiders could even have like hold your breath sort of thing.
Yep.
But of course, you can't hold your breath indefinitely. So
I think there's got to be a reason then that the killer can't stop indefinitely, because otherwise that's just not fair. They can just literally stand there.
Well, look, I don't think they get like, oh, they're over here. It's more they get an indication of perhaps a direction, in which case, like, now they're moving again, the player could move or run, or, you know, as long as they stay outside that vision cone, they might be able to maneuver around them, right? And get away or hide behind something else before they can turn around and see them, you know? So yeah, I thought that, like, I was just imagining the situation, that tense situation of the killer just like stopping in a room and there's like two people hiding in different spots of the room and they just like have to hold their breath and they're seeing the meter of their breath, like...
So I'm immediately wanting to see a slightly bigger. The type of map that I'm wanting to see is almost like a 2-story house almost. I think a 2-story sort of haunted mansion sort of thing could be quite cool in the fact that there could be multiple ways down from the top floor, so that you can sort of or at least have 2 different ways coming down, but then you've got different interconnected rooms upstairs that you can go through. And
yeah, definitely. That could be really cool. And I just had a vision of like, you're on the top floor and suddenly you see the killer like start coming up the stairs. You know, you couldn't see downstairs, but you see him at the bottom of the stairs, essentially, like his character sort of starts fading in as he comes up the stairway. I wonder, I think maybe you limit the speed of the killer. Or at least they have like maybe a very limited stamina where they can rush at someone if they see them or towards someone. But most of the time they have to walk fairly slowly to really get that serial killer like just tromping after you kind of thing, like looking around very calmly. But then they see you and it's just like bam.
So my question would be is once you actually get really close to someone and you've caught them in your sort of in your vision thing and but you've just missed them. Can you maybe bring a little bit of scent into it so that for the shortest amount of time, so for like the next 10 seconds, you can sort of see the trail as to where this person has gone?
Yeah.
I like the idea that you've gotten close and they managed to get away, but they've also got to keep on getting away at least for the next 10, 15 seconds because otherwise, you know, it's just not fair on the serial killer. Because it's got to be fair on the serial killer, otherwise no one's going to want to play the game.
No, you definitely have to balance it. I'm thinking sound definitely plays into it a lot, so that essentially the serial killer, while slower, has more ability to get around the house. And obviously because they don't care about making sound, whereas the victims or the hiders, like if they open a door if they open a window, if they, knock something over, maybe you have to be really careful about where you're moving or different things, then they could alert the killer to their position.
I so want to be walking down like a hallway or something. As you go past the vase that is precariously on top of like a pillar or something, there's a small chance of it falling off, and you got to quickly hit the button to actually,
catch
I think some reflex
things. Up. Yeah, definitely some reflex things like that.
And that way, when you're actually going fast and you're trying to get away from someone and it knocks over, you've just given the killer like a pinpoint on the map that he knows, okay, they're upstairs.
Yeah, it could be something like that where they, for a few seconds, get you heard a sound here. And obviously it doesn't stick around for very long. But yeah, they could use some of their stamina to get there quickly, or they could just be like, all right, well, I know they're upstairs. I know they can't get out a window without me hearing them do something further. So they're trapped up there. So I don't it's like I don't even need to hurry because they're hiding up there and they can't get anywhere without alerting me. So yeah, I like that asynchronous kind of gameplay like that,
but also a quick loop that is quite easy to get back in.
Yeah, so I guess that's the thing. Among Us has the ghosts, which you could still do something similar.
I kind of like the idea that, the ghost has sort of like on cooldown, like a rather long cooldown, they can make a noise. Like,
yeah. Essentially distract the killer into them thinking that one of the living victims is somewhere else for sure.
Yeah, but it's a long cooldown. It's sort of like, or maybe it's a single use item only. That each ghost has a single sound that they can
maybe
set off
it is
once.
Very specifically something that they can like push something in the environment, right? So they knock that vase off on purpose. And now that vase is broken, it can't be knocked down again.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone else earlier in the game had knocked it down, well, they can't use that one. So so it depends on how the game is gone, but there are enough things in the environment where it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to like slam that door or I'm going to break that window.
But you're right.
Yes,
the ghosts need to have something that, they're rooting for.
Yeah. I think that,
which is why I think Among Us is so perfect in the fact that they've got the tasks there so that you've still got something to do while you.
So I do think we haven't really decided on a win state for the hiders, for the victims.
I do like the idea of there is a time limit where where basically the cops are coming. Something around
so
that.
It could just be survive long enough. Is there a way that they can kill the killer? It wouldn't be easy. Maybe it would even have to be
it's kind of like finding things for a ritual.
Maybe, yeah. To like send them back to hell or whatever.
Yeah. And the idea is, you got to sort of find the salt. You got to find the candle, find the book, and they can be hidden around anywhere. And if you go to the safe, then you got to find the combination to the safe to be able to find, one of the pieces there. So you've got a couple of different ways and a couple of different places it can be hidden.
So the killer doesn't know, going into the game, oh, these are the things they're definitely going to have to do, so I'll just wait for them or whatever, like that.
But of course, the more people that you have, the harder it is for the killer. So the idea is...
I'm actually starting to think if we're having it in a house like this, 24 or 32 is probably too many. I think maybe like 10 people and one killer or something.
Yeah.
Make it similar stakes, the similar size then to Among Us.
You could open it up to like a small town sort of thing or a research base, kind of like in Among Us. That
you could definitely open it up. And look, you could do different types of killers and stuff. Because I was thinking it could also be interesting. Like, yes, okay, this particular type of serial killer needs to be, returned to hell with a ritual. This other one, you just need to hit them enough times. Like, you need to stab them 17 times or whatever. Like, you need to, whatever it is. But every time you try to attack them, you're opening yourself up to, being killed. So I think you make it either, a valid strategy might be like everyone swarms them at once and like half of you are going to die, but the rest of you might manage to take them down, or you just have to like bleed them out over time. And take a risk every time. Like maybe you can find a fucking crossbow or something. It's like, okay, you might get 1 or 2 bolts off before he turns around, rushes you, and kills you, right? Like, you're not going to have a chance. He knows exactly where you are.
I just thought of the perfect 2-player, dual killer sort of situation.
Okay.
Wet Bandits.
Oh shit, that's great. That's great. This is Home Alone 10. Now there's 10 Kevins. And the Wet Bandits are back, and I
just love the idea of one guy's Kevin McAllister, and then it's all his friends that have come over for the sleepover sort of thing.
Yep. That's pretty good. That'd definitely be a level to put in there. And then you've got like traps that you can set up and stuff, and that's how you have to defeat them.
I kind of see this almost like that, what was it? What was that game? Was it Dead by Daylight or?
Yeah, I think that was one of them where I haven't played it, but
that you could buy all the DLC and that was different killers and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I do love this idea of it's the hide and seek variant on, you're trying to stay away from these people because basically they can overpower you.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly.
Exactly. It's, you're balancing it by they have all the physical, power, but you're able to hide because, your vision is so much better. They've got such limited vision. I feel like that could be, like I said, I think there's an opportunity there given the popularity. Like in this moment, if someone came out in 3 weeks with a decent hide and seek game, they could do really well.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if Among Us 2 actually, well, not Among Us 2, but like because they've actually canned that now. And I think that was a great choice by the developers to basically no, Among Us has already done amazingly well. It's now hit its stride. Let's start modifying this. Let's get this.
Absolutely.
Listen to the people out there. And the thing is, like, that's actually taking away, potential future income. But because they've made so much money recently, it's sort of like it's a catch-22.
They'd be cannibalizing their own base if they tried to bring out Among Us 2 in like 6 months' time. Like, that's, they'd have lost the momentum. Whereas if they keep releasing new stuff, and like I think you were about to say, they may well bring out an official game mode or like changes to the game where you can play hide and seek, like people have been doing with house rules.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's, again, this is a great thing. As soon as you said hide and seek, I'm like, oh, I'm not sure how that would work. But then you start rolling with it, and it's sort of like, wow, this has a lot of legs that.
Yeah, I think there's
love
a cool dynamic
to be setting up a ritual and all this sort of stuff, and maybe the ghosts are able to help out in the way that they can still open up like the safe and all this sort of stuff.
What if you need a ghost for the ritual? So at least one of you has to sacrifice themselves.
Otherwise, the Ouija board doesn't work.
Yeah. Or like there's something hidden behind a secret door, and one of the ways to get, like, yes, you can find the code for it around the place, or one of you can sacrifice yourself, go behind there and like use your single use, movement, ecto fucking push to slam the door open.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I love it. The ritual just sealed it for me. I know it was my own idea, but still.
If we were going to make that, like, I'm tempted to jump on that. That's probably a good way to go with the ritual as the sort of tasks to do.
Because couldn't you imagine, you're having to like draw the pentagram, like
you have to be like putting down the salt in the right thing. It's like, oh, fuck, got to start over, pick it all back up again. Shit, the killer's coming. Hide in the closet. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
All right, well, we've done about 20 minutes on that, so let's move on to one of our other segments. We
Ramped Up Click Pitch.
Ramped Up Click Pitch.
So Ramped Up Click Pitch is a game where we each have our random word generator Discord bot set to give us an adjective and a noun. On the count of 3, 2, 1 click, we'll get a couple of words, throw them at each other, come up with a game design, just like what we did there, but with randomness added. And then when it doesn't work, we throw it away, and then later on we'll probably do a movie. I don't think we'll do Second Chance Click Pitch tonight, because we just spent 20 minutes on this.
Oh, but we're going to get out of sync with our old episodes. Anyway, we'll see how we're going. All right, 3, 2, 1, click. Tell me what you got.
Restrictive. Kiss.
Neglected amp.
Amp. I'm just wondering whether we go like a closed down like music store where
music store. Okay. Yeah.
Throughout this whole COVID-19 thing, obviously things have been closed down and all this sort of stuff. And there's something about being restrictive, neglected amp. So that's given me all the sort of stuff that's happened around this store. And then Kiss is sort of saying that the owner has actually found love. And
unless it's Kiss the band. What was your other word?
Restrictive.
Oh, restrictive Kiss. Okay. Okay. So you're thinking it's some sort of like a narrative thing around the owner of this music store?
Yeah.
Okay. I can get behind that. What sort of game are we thinking then?
I can kind of see it as like a visual novel style, or it could just be a wacky sort of adventure of how do you bring the store back from its neglectedness. Okay. So it's sort of you're doing different actions to try and clear shit out.
Yeah, okay. Maybe this is one of those games. All right, here's what I'm picturing.
Here's what you're pitching.
Here's what I'm picturing. It's 2D. It's modern. It can probably be modern-ish 2D. It doesn't necessarily have to be like retro style, or even 3D fixed perspective. So you've essentially got like a strip of shops and houses and such, maybe. So you can like come out of your music store and you're on the street, and you can go left or right, and you can go to different places along there.
The bakery. I'm loving that there's like a little bakery next door, and that's where you've met the new owner of the bakery, and you're falling head over heels in love.
Or do you do this visual novel-esque, and there are like 4 or 5 love interests in these different places? Like one of them is, Jimothy, who walks his dog every day. One of them is Samantha, who works at the bakery. One of them is, I don't know, whoever else.
Paula, who's one of your customers, who comes in and tries out the same amp every single day.
Tries out the same amp every single day. Yes. Yeah, she's like an old, or like a dejected rocker kind of thing who's trying to relive her glory days and decide on an amp, whether she wants to buy this amp or not. I like that. And so, but what I liked is as you go, you kind of get, whether you get money or you just get help from people or something, but you can essentially choose how to restore your store in different ways.
Yep.
And so you've got a bit of like decoration, gameplay.
I love
stuff.
As soon as you open it, there's like cobwebs everywhere because no one's been in for like a year. And
oh, totally.
You have like at the end of the first day, like there's a battle with a nest of spiders in the corner and all this sort of stuff.
Well, you could almost do. Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how you want to go with the gameplay. This could almost be a Stardew Valley-ish sort of thing where, like in that game, you've got a variety of things you can do. You can plant stuff and fix stuff up. You can craft stuff. You can go to and fucking battle things in the mines or whatever. You can go into town and talk to people. Similar to that, but taking it, I guess, distilling it down a little bit more. So, you've just got this street. And maybe you can fight a nest of spiders in the corner, and there's some sort of stuff you get silk from that, and you trade it with someone. I don't know whether you go deep on that crafting thing, but there's definitely some opportunity there.
Yeah. So, what do you want out of the end? Like, obviously, it has to have an end to it if it's a visual novel style.
I think getting the music store back up and running And then you've got your branching sort of stuff and different conversations with your different love interests, who you may or may not, get to that level of romance where you get the ending where you're together or whatever. Because often those visual novels, if you try to romance too many people or go too far down the different paths,
south.
Either it goes south, like they lose respect for you because you're trying to, get it on with too many people, or
you're trying to put all your eggs in one basket. Or sell all your ants to one customer.
That's how you end up with someone at the end, perhaps, is by doing that. But again, you could bring in some different aspects of, this person likes this sort of thing, and maybe even change the way you build back your store and things you choose based on what the person you're romancing likes.
3, 2, 1, click.
Sure. Let's leave it at that. Music store love.
Music store love, I've got to.
All right. Boring poster.
Committed spoof.
Spoof?
Spoof. S-P-O-F. No, it's S-P-O-O-F.
Okay,
spoof.
That's what I thought. The S keeps clipping out through because of the explosive or something. Plosive. No, that's the other thing. Doesn't matter.
The noise reduction
Discord.
On Discord.
I think.
It's pretty horrible with that. Committed spoof.
Boring poster. Okay.
So I think this is definitely
some sort of prankster kind of thing. Or?
Well, I'm thinking when you think of like a spoof movie sort of thing, it's always over the top, over the top sort of comedy, taking off of like a main sort of.
Do we go back to the Weird Al well? Since he's the master of spoofs when it comes to songs and parody.
He's not going through hell this time?
No, he's not like galloping across hell in fucking whatever that was. It's fucking 160 episodes ago or something. No, I think, is this like Weird Al has a new movie out?
UHF 2.
Well, I think we come up with something new.
Yeah. It's called Cable this time.
It's called Fiber to the Node.
It's called mixed technology bullshit.
Do we take boring to mean like boring through the ground?
Ooh.
Is Weird Al doing, maybe Weird Al is doing a Borat style. This is where the commitment comes in. He's like playing a character who has like a fucking Underminer style drill that bores through the earth. I don't know. He comes up in people's backyards and like
sings them a song and then fucks off.
Sings them a song.
This is how he's selling his album. He's doing it like he decided to go on like a personal tour of going to each one of his fans' houses and just selling directly to them, forgetting that the internet actually exists.
Or maybe it's that sticking up the posters around your movie or your concert. Like, and the way you get around is through digging through the earth. Like, I'm almost picturing just a silly, like a arcadey kind of 2D thing with Weird Al in like this weird fucking mining vehicle, popping up and putting posters around and then drilling back into the earth.
That's just insane. Okay. Ooh, so you said boring poster, and I'm sort of seeing this as in going. I like your Weird Al idea, but I'll go in a different sort of direction for a little bit.
I did drive mine into the ground a bit.
Nice work. I'm seeing this as in a kid bored at work at Blockbuster. And he's looking at all the different posters around
Are we
the
setting
store.
this in the 90s?
Yeah. I'm
Or is this the last Blockbuster in 2020?
we can make a decision, but I'm still picturing that he's surrounded like by the movie posters and all this sort of stuff. And whether this is a dream or not, but basically he sort of gets dragged into the world in the poster sort of thing. And you got different ones throughout the Blockbuster.
Okay, but every poster is a spoof of that movie.
Exactly.
Because it's the Weird Al. Yeah, it's the Weird Al version.
I would love for Weird Al to turn up in every single one, a la your Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Where
Can't say that one stuck in my head, but okay. Yeah.
Heath Ledger, it was his last film before he died, and he's a character that goes through all the different adventures, except they had to change him into Jude Law and Johnny Depp and a few others.
Yes.
But I like the idea of Weird Al. It happens to be in all these spoof sort of.
Oh, totally. So you're looking around and you find yourself falling into.
You could go through a few different whether it be action in one particular one, or it's sort of like more pointy clicky in another movie that you sort of end up in.
They could all be different. They're all sort of just little adventure-y kind of things. I'm almost picturing this as like a point and click with some arcadey stuff or something like little mini game. Like some of them are just small, almost a bit like Clockwork God, Lair of the Clockwork God, where you end up going through 7 or 8 of these movies. Some of them might be shorter with just little gimmicks. Some of them might be full-fledged kind of adventure-y, point-and-click adventure stuff.
So what I'm picturing is you've got like a couple of movies that have actually been delivered into the into the Dropbox, but then you see like a little sort of like little creature like a pixie or a troll or something like that come and pick out a couple of videos and like take it into one of the posters, and that's why you got to sort of follow along and you're trying to get back.
You don't have a Blockbuster card.
Well, you're trying to close up the store, but you can't close up the store because you haven't finished checking in all the tapes yet.
Right. So so you jump right into the poster for Bite Club, that movie about a secret underground
Vampire Club.
Competitive eating contest. Weird Al always does food stuff, right?
and Weird Al plays the. I'm picturing that you enter character into like a subway, and you start hearing like the start of Bad or Fat, and all of a sudden Weird Al comes out and goes, no. And he just doesn't allow any of his main tracks to appear.
I think he's got new songs.
He's got new songs. He doesn't want the old stuff being done. It's like, no, shutting this down now. Move along. Nothing to see here.
Well, I think Weird Al plays the Tyler Durden character in Bite Club, who brings you into this club.
So who plays? I can't remember. I don't think Edward Norton even had a character name in that, did he?
No, I think he specifically didn't. But I mean, that's your character. Like whoever the main character of the game is, like you come into this and you're now the Edward Norton character in Bite Club, finding your way into this secret underground competitive eating ring.
But they secretly eat soaps.
They eat soap, yeah. And then you make your way out of there, and you find your way into
Pillow. It's the like the spoof of Willow.
Yep.
And in there you've got basically like just literally a pillow that does the same things that
It's a fantasy adventure.
fantasy adventure.
Talking pillow.
Talking pillow.
Yep.
Played by
Val Kilmer and played by Warwick Davis.
I think Warwick Davis still plays Pillow, but Weird Al plays the Val Kilmer part.
Sure. Yep.
So it's a bit of a turn. He gets a little bit more actiony in this one.
Yep.
So my question is: do you play Pillow, or do you play?
No, I think you have to be I think
or do you have to be like an extra character that goes along with them on the adventure?
I don't think I've even ever seen Willow, so that's a tough one.
How can you not have seen Willow? Willow is an amazing movie.
Sorry.
I've got it on DVD.
Anyway, so you get out of... I can't play DVDs anymore. I don't have anything that plays DVDs. Jesus.
Disc media. Physical media.
Physical media.
I could always put it into my PlayStation 4, but I would never grace my PlayStation 4 with a physical media, except for games that I bought. You forgot that the PlayStation 4 can play movies, didn't you?
No, I didn't forget, but I just don't use it for that. So
it slipped my mind. Let's jump over to the movie.
And then wait, I haven't finished with my puns.
Sorry.
Because then you jump into the Lambshank Redemption. When Weird Al plays the Morgan Freeman character.
But he sings again about food. Because everything's about food. And that's what... He does more stuff than just food.
Nah, I don't believe it. It's just the easiest puns to make.
I know. I thought my pillow was pretty funny.
That was good.
Now I want to find another one
there, but I can't get it.
Good Kung Fu Bustle.
The Green Smile.
Green Smile. That's awesome. That's a great one. The Park Rangers, like Mighty Morphin Park Rangers or whatever.
Mighty Morphin Park Rangers are like that. Mighty Morphin Texas Rangers.
You have Weird Al playing the Chuck Norris role.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. I don't know. That like just tail off into us trying to do puns, but whatever. That's fun. We're going to move on to our movie tie-ins sort of game thing that doesn't have a real title, where we are going to get a random movie each, and we're going to choose either the movie itself. We might just make a game tie-in for that movie. Or we might just take the title or the synopsis and see what sort of game we can make from that. So let's do it. Let's see what we get.
3-1 movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I've not heard of this. It's 1983's Fire and Ice.
Mm-hmm.
It's apparently an animated tale. It's got a very classic fantasy movie cover. What's the there's that particular guy. Starts with an F, who does those sorts of posters. Anyway.
No.
It's some sort of fantasy thing. Well, do you want me to read the synopsis?
Yes.
In this animated tale, a tiny village is destroyed by a surging glacier, which serves as the deadly domain for the evil Ice Lord Necron. The only survivor is a young warrior, Lan, who vows to avenge this act of destruction. There's more, but that's the general thing.
Yep. Okay. I have the 2017 film Dead Again in Tombstone.
Okay.
The devil's outlaw and reluctant servant, Guerrero, played by Danny Trejo, returns from the dead again in this action-packed western which promises to be one hell of a ride. Guerrero is forced to protect a stolen relic from getting into the hands of some dude and his gang of soldiers, and his name's Jackson Boomer. There we go. And Jackson will stop at nothing to raise his comrades from the dead and bring the wrath of hell upon Earth.
Okay.
Actually sounds kind of cool.
That's interesting. I immediately got the idea, sort of, and maybe this is from Danny Trejo, of like a Broforce style thing, but it's a Western.
Yep.
So a bit less just like wild shooting and maybe a bit more precision six shooter kind of deal. Or like throwing knives and stuff. But yeah, you can like raise your pals from the dead, and maybe that's how you get the multiplayer in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so sort of just like a side-scrolling Western shooter, essentially. Action-packed shooter.
Kind of like a Dead Cells, even.
Maybe, or just I was going even more simple than that, and leaning on the multiplayer, I think, like Broforce did, where you kind of you're going through a level, or maybe not a level, maybe a bit more of a horde shooter sort of style thing, where you've got a town and you can like get up on the roof of the saloon or whatever, or you can ride a horse across one side to the other as enemies are coming at you.
Yep, I like that. So you've got some guy on the other side that can raise the dead as well. So you're trying to take him out as quickly as possible. Otherwise, the horde just never ends.
Yeah, okay, that could be good to have that as the like goal for the level, essentially. But you have to essentially build up enough. I don't know, maybe you get power, maybe you get upgrades or something as the level goes on, or you get it could even be a bit of a like a shmup where in a shoot 'em up where you'll kill enough people and you'll get an upgrade thing that's floating down the screen or whatever.
Yep.
It could be like that. You kill, 10 people in a short amount of time. Oh, you got an upgrade thing. Now it upgrades your gun in some way, or you get dynamite, or you get unlimited throwing knives, or I don't know, different power-ups. And then, essentially when your side has enough power, you can go and try to take on the big boss.
He's obviously got powers to raise the dead and turn them against you. Can they also, given that you're dead, can he maybe... if you get hurt enough, he can actually sort of take over your character and sort of switch it against the rest of your team?
That could be cool. Yeah. That could be a downside to, like, if you don't revive someone soon enough, you get like 5 or 10 seconds where your character is just attacking your team.
Yeah.
And that really sets obviously sets your side back. Because meanwhile he's still spawning, and raising more dead and maybe getting health back, regenerating or something.
I kind of like the idea that when you get resurrected, whichever side sort of resurrects you, you are still controlling it, but the idea is that you get extra XP if you kill your friends, sort of thing. So the idea being that if you get turned, you've then got reason to turn on your friends, basically.
Right.
So basically, whoever wins from now on, if they can somehow turn you back.
So essentially, if they can kill you and then revive you, then you're back on their team. But if you manage to kill all of them with the help now of this horde, then you
get extra XP, and basically you're now, it's you against them, but if they lose, they don't get any XP. You get the XP if your team wins, but if you die, your XP gets cut down a bit.
So you're talking about XP from that seems like it. You might have character progression outside of the round itself.
I think so.
Okay. That could be interesting. Almost like a crawl situation where it's like, okay, this round's done. Spend your XP to upgrade your character in different ways.
Yeah. So weapons. now when you get risen, you can raise a minion with you as well, and then
yeah. You get your own occultish necromantic skills. That's cool.
Yeah. I'm always looking for the idea that you can turn friends against friends, basically.
So this is that is interesting, because if you're playing a game, it starts off you got like a 4-player game. It's all 4 of you against the computer bad guy. One of you turns and then wins that match. Do you start the next round on the bad guys team still?
Maybe, but no. I think your character sort of gets revived or has a change of heart or something like that. Just put in some reason as to why you're on the good guy side again.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I kind of like the idea that they stay on the bad guy's side. Again, in that sort of crawl
maybe
thing where it's like,
maybe in the next time that you come up against them, you can't use that character again until you save them. So you got to kill them and bring them back onto your side, and that enables you to play that character again.
Oh, okay. So you essentially,
yes, you get
a bunch of XP, but you have to then apply it to a new character in some way, or
you just have to bring forward another character, save your guy, and then you get all that XP, like to spend on that same character.
Right.
I don't know. It's becoming a little bit hard now.
It's getting a little bit. I'm just trying to think it through. I mean, that could work. It could almost be that. Yeah, you win that round as on the bad guys team. You start the next round as a new character, and now there's a computer controlled version of that character. Who, if you defeat and revive, then you basically combine the XP and with bonus XP or something. And yeah. I think there's definitely some interesting stuff you could play with there around setting your friends against friends.
Basically, you're trying not to make it so that the person playing, if they now win on the bad guy's side, they can't access their character again. And what's the point of them trying to win on the bad guy's side?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you'd have to work out the balance.
Which is why if they're now on the bad guy's side until they get killed and brought back over, it's really hard again to do it on a single screen, because now you got the three people on this side and you've got your character having to come across from the other side and really far away.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily have to be single screen. You could just do split screen or something with a larger level. I don't know. You could figure that stuff out. That's not for the pitch. That's for later on.
That's why I say that something happens like. At the end of each level, I think you get dragged back down to hell. And therefore...
Yeah, maybe, okay. And you get told off by Satan. It's like, no, don't fight whoever that is.
Yeah, but it's just like it's a mean nothing sort of thing where you get a lot more XP. You get reprimanded by Satan a little bit, and you go down in his books supposedly, but nothing really happens.
Yeah, the other thing you'd have to balance is you want to make it not so tempting that it's worth just dying and fighting for the opposite side. Like the first one to die and fights for the opposite side, then gets a ton of XP or whatever. You'd have to put them in a more challenging position or make it less likely then that they're going to get the XP or something.
Well, it's one of these things of that XP is now up for grabs. So if the other team beats you, that XP that was promised to you now goes to the other three people and gets split equally among them. So really it's a risk versus reward sort of thing that if you do switch, then you get an extra 100,000 XP or whatever it is. But if they happen to kill you and switch you back, that 100,000 XP or whatever that you're supposed to be
between them.
Get split between the three people who turned you, and you only get your original XP.
Yeah, you'd have to work on balancing that, but there's definitely some cool stuff you could do there.
Yeah.
I like it.
Same here. Right. Let's click again.
Another movie?
Another movie.
All right.
2016's Trash Fire. And it sounds as though that movie was Trash Fire.
Worthy of the name. 2001's Joe Somebody with looks like Tim Allen and maybe Julie Bowen? Do you want to do your synopsis for Trash Fire? What's it about?
A man forced to confront his past when he and his girlfriend end up entangled in a web of lies. Hence why it sounds like a trash fire.
I mean, it just doesn't sound very game-worthy.
No. How's Joe Somebody?
Joe Somebody, when underappreciated video specialist Joe Schaefer is brutally humiliated by the office bully Mark McKinney in front of his daughter, Joe begins a quest for personal redemption. He proceeds by enduring a personal makeover and takes martial arts lessons from a B action star. As news spreads of his rematch with Mark, Joe suddenly finds himself the center of attention, ascending the corporate ladder and growing in popularity. He's determined to show everyone in his life that he's not a nobody, but a force to be reckoned with. So
I kind of like the idea of taking both names, Joe Somebody, Trash Fire.
Trash Fire, Trash Fire.
Yep. And coming up with something around that.
Something fresh. So not using the synopsis.
Not using the synopsis, just the words.
Okay.
The
Cool.
name of the game is Joe Somebody, Trash Fire.
Okay.
So there is something I will steal from the thing of he's your average Joe, basically. He's almost like I'm seeing Joe Somebody is almost like a Joe Dirt sort of character or something along those lines of just your average sort of Joe that the story happens to be about. I don't think he's sort of, I think it's along the lines of your Joe Dirt where he doesn't necessarily know his family and all this sort of stuff. He always thought that he was a nobody, but he's trying to make something of himself.
Okay. I mean, Joe Dirt was very much along the kind of hillbilly, white trash side of things. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying to reconcile because I did start thinking about like a corporate ladder style like fighting game where you start like
it's just Fight Club again.
well, yeah, like as you ascend the corporate ladder, you're also like fighting and you're doing like street fights and stuff. But what sort of game are you thinking? Is it that you're going in a bit more of a narrative direction?
I mean, the story is narrative, but I'm definitely thinking more actiony sort of stuff going on. With the whole idea of Trash Fire, I'm almost thinking that this is a sort of like you're a garbage man by day, but you're trying to make something of yourself. Okay,
I do like being a waste disposal specialist into it.
I love the fact that he's got some sort of waste disposal specialist written on his resume and all this sort of stuff. You can look into.
Totally. Trying to jazz it up.
What else do you think he's doing in his life? I'm seeing this almost like a third person action adventure sort of thing, where for some of it, you're sort of open on the thing where you're running down the street being able to hang onto the truck and all this sort of stuff, pick up the rubbish and put it into the back of the truck, jump onto the back of the truck again for a little bit.
Yeah, that could be sort of your little prologue, like get some exposition in there about who you are and maybe you've got a workmate or something driving the truck.
I kind of like the idea that you, at the end of this street, you come across basically a house that you see someone like put like a battery into the bin because you know that you're not supposed to put batteries into bins, and when you put it into the back of the truck, like it explodes and causes like a massive fire, and you got to basically try and get your friend out and all this sort of stuff, and you're hailed by the local news as a hero for saving your friend from this fire.
Okay.
And then it's sort of like you're going through a couple of different things in your life of, trying to survive your 15 minutes of fame.
Right. Yeah. This is Joe. So maybe he was happy with his life. So it's not that he's like, it's not like he's down on his luck. He's not, hasn't gone anywhere or anything like that. It's like, no, like he loves his job. He doesn't have a family, but he's, happy enough with that, with his lot in life. But yes,
I'm loving the idea that he's actually got, a loving family with like his sister or something like that, which he's got like nieces and nephews, and they're everything everything to
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He maybe even lives with them, like, you know, just because they're a close family, and it's like, yeah, you know, the sister's partner left, and he's sort of stepped in as a bit of a
surrogate father
for the nieces and nephews, and just supporting his sister and stuff. Yeah, I like that. But then, yeah, okay. So, what does this fame bring that you then have to sort of survive?
It could definitely bring in like a stealth aspect of just trying to go down to the shops and like, yeah, having to sneak out of your back door, jump over the fence. So during your 15 minutes, everyone's trying to interview you and all this sort of stuff, and
I feel like, okay,
get down and order food and all this sort of stuff.
This has to be more than this. Than that, like, oh, you got a few interviews on the TV. I think what has to happen is you got some interviews on the TV. Your personality was so like likable and out there that like you've essentially become this accidental star. Like maybe you said a catchphrase. Like it's a bit like the "I didn't do it, boy" episode of The Simpsons, right? Like you said something that's just caught on, and now people are making T-shirts of you, and
someone's auto-tuned what you said and all this sort of stuff. And
yeah, like the auto, yeah. And so so there is a reason that people want to catch. If people catch a glimpse of you, then they're gonna like run up and scream and want your autograph or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm seeing almost Heavy Rain-esque, controls and that sort of stuff. In that, you're just trying to get by and do the normal mundane sort of stuff, but you're also having to run away and hide and go out incognito and all this sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how much you want. Like, is this just a sequence in the game, or is this the whole game of doing this stealth stuff?
I think this is at least the first act, and then it sort of breaks into a bigger story as you go through. Maybe the fact that someone's not happy that you've actually taken all this fame and is trying to hurt your family or something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say you then attract the attention of someone who is putting the family at risk. And then it turns into a
long kiss goodnight, and
no, I was going to say it turns into the old Simpsons arcade game, and all you and your sister and your kids get to like do a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
That's Act 2.
Yeah, that's Act 2. All right, we're just going completely off the rails with this. Every act is a completely different gameplay. So you do that. You track down the evil villain who, for some reason, wants to use your family for devious plans. And then it turns into
Far Cry, as he traps you on an island, and you've got to go through and like you can go anywhere that you want on the island.
It's a whole Far Cry-sized game in the third act of
with the typical Ubisoft towers that you got to unlock the map by going up the tower and scouting around, and you see all the little things around.
You have to go and you find all the dumpsters that are on top of towers for some reason. To unlock all of the side missions for picking up garbage and saving your family. All right. The end of that game.
Okay, let's do one more click pitch. Let's see whether we can finish.
Click pitch. Let's finish it off on something maybe slightly less crazy. Okay. Wandering Farm.
Chestnut comedy.
Farm comedy.
So Chestnuts sort of brings into mind like chestnuts roasting on an open fire, sort of holiday time of year. And
holiday
sort of
theme, yeah. Okay.
Comedy sort of that to me just says that this is a comedic sort of take on what's actually happening at this time of year. So it's
okay,
sort of taking
on a farm.
Yep.
Now, is this actually some sort of wandering farm, like a travelling farm? Is it a petting zoo? Is it the adventures of a petting zoo? I love the
idea that every morning you wake up and it's like the farm has actually moved around a little bit and you're not quite sure where the potatoes are anymore.
Well, or just you've planted them on a series of trucks. Or this is the future, and they're like drones. They're like these big hovercraft vegetable patches.
Okay, I kind of like the idea that you are a city slicker.
Okay.
Who's for the holidays, or in this case, your brother or sister has gone away on holidays and asked you to look after the farm.
Okay.
And you kind of you don't quite know everything that's going on the farm, so you're having to wander the farm to try and find all the bits and pieces that she's sort of saying you need to get done.
Okay. So this is like a wacky kind of third-person puzzler almost?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe... This is a comedy version of, like, The Witness, where to, like, deal with all the things on this farm you need to do. You have to, like, learn all the different elements that go into these puzzles to, like, start the machines, and maybe not quite as abstract as The Witness, but you know what I mean. It's more, okay, you're learning the lay of the land, the barn's closed, you know, it's on some sort of automation thing. You can't open that yet. All right, I'm going to go over here. Maybe I need to tackle the feeder thing over here. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're sort of unlocking things as you go and learning about how this farm fits together and works so that you can...
Before you can use the combine harvester, you've got to learn how to use the tractor. So the tractor is like the simpler version of the combine harvester. But it turns out that it's got elements of a truck as well. So if you work out how her truck works, then you can work out how the tractor works, and you can, like, to steer and all that sort of stuff, you got to do another puzzle. And then I like the idea that if you get the combine harvester wrong and you take it out and you haven't actually cleared out another puzzle, like there's people who have actually been wandering your farm, and you kind of combine harvest them into everything else.
Jesus.
It's like a comedic thing of, oh, shit. I guess it's just part of the game now.
Well, I kind of wonder also if it could be interesting to have this be... So, sort of like those automation games like Satisfactory and Factorio and stuff, but it's not you're automating it. It's already all set up. You're just having to figure out how it all works to, like, get it all running smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And so piece by piece, it might be, oh, okay, I got the, you know, grain mill bit section running, so I've got some output coming from that. It's not super efficient yet because I haven't figured out this other, like, input to it or whatever, or the, like, power fluctuations, or... I mean, I know that's not very comedic, but it could still be funny while you're solving these puzzles.
I like the idea that if you fail, then something shitty happens to the farm.
That could be cool, yeah. That things can just get all worked. It's like, oh, no, I turned the conveyor belt up to full speed and, like, the barn filled with grain and just exploded out the chimney, you know, and, like, destroyed the whole farm.
And then it returns back and says, don't do that again.
Yeah. Well, I do like that if you... I like the idea that the things you're learning are more... meta, as in, you know, if you go back to the start, it's not like, oh, I've got to do all that again and learn all that again and go through that again. It's like,
because you know
it now. Now you know how to do that. Like, as a person, as the player, you now know how to do that. You know, and then you can just go and go, oh, okay, I switched that by doing this code, and then I know that if I set the conveyor belt to 50%, then the efficiency is going to be good enough to, I don't know, or whatever, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
That is really cool.
That's fun.
Think we've run that well dry.
Yeah. We brought up that bucket empty. So
there's a hole in my bucket, dear Benji, dear Benji.
There's a hole in my bucket. Dear Trevi, a hole. All right. I think we're going to end the episode on that note. So thank you for joining us this week on Bitstorm. If you want to find us online, go to podchaser.com/Bitstorm. Leave us a review. We would really love it if you listen to this episode, thought, that episode was 4 stars worth of fun or whatever. Whatever you think. I'm just being humble. Maybe it was 5 stars, maybe it was 1. But go there, leave an episode, leave a review on the episode or on the podcast. Give us some feedback. We would love to see it.
Yes, because we want to know who out there is listening.
Yeah, tell us. We're also part of the 8-Bit Collective, and this is a group of podcasts around pop culture and video games and a bunch of other things. Definitely go and check out some of those fine shows at 8bit.net.
Also, if you could check out the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Check out on Facebook the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network or at AGP Network on Twitter. And finally, we'd like to thank Kuridas for the use of the song Mount Defiance of the album Containment Failure.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott. And that was a trash fire.
And I'm Weird Al, starring in The Two-Man Show.